As we continue our series of introducing you to African Americans that are doing great things in sports, well, Andrea Williams is one of the most powerful individuals in all of sports. She is the chief operating officer of the college football playoff. And let's go down to Dallas, which should be a little warmer than it is here in Chicago. Andrea, how are you doing?
Kenny, we are not that much warmer than you are today. We are looking at 20 degrees and icy conditions down here in Dallas. So it feels like I'm right back in Chicago where I had a chance to spend 16 years. And it's so good to see you today as well. It's been so long since you and I had a chance to connect. So I'm grateful to be able to visit with you today.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. At one point this year, I didn't think we would have a college football season. Not only did we have a college football season, we got the playoff in. Everything looked so smooth. Were you surprised that we were able to get everything in? Because coronavirus was out crazy.
You know, Kenny, I will tell you that all of us, regardless of what profession that we're in, we have been just so very fortunate. Dealing with a global pandemic has been extremely difficult on just everyone, not only just professionally, but personally. So the fact that we had so many individuals that worked so hard from the athletic front, where you're talking about leadership on campus and coaches, and especially the sacrifices of the student athletes, it was incredible to see the sports season start, not just with football, but across the board. And so the fact that we were able to enjoy a football postseason, which is, the area in which I live and work. We were just fortunate. We were very lucky. So we're just gonna, as we say, we're gonna survive in advance and take the win.
Take the win. Now, Chief Operating Officer is a great title, but for people that want to know, what do you actually do? Can you briefly tell people what you actually do?
You're not the only one that asks. I'm not sure my family knows what I do, and that's okay. Honestly, I think my job is a traffic officer. With the college football playoff, we are a small organization headquartered here in Dallas, and we have just got a phenomenal team. The people that are on our staff work incredibly hard to create a postseason experience for not only our participants, but for our patrons. But for me in particular, we have a national championship game, and we've got a number of events associated with the actual competition. And that falls under my scope, in addition to identification and helping to facilitate the process of selecting future sites for our champ game. So, Kenny, you've known me for, I think, 2 decades now. So the ability to work in sports after being a former student athlete myself is really a dream come true. And the fact that you and I can still stay connected both personally and professionally because of sport, because sport brings people together, just really fortunate.
Yeah, really, really fortunate. But I read that when you graduated from college, you wanted to be a TV news anchor in San Antonio.
I wanted to be you, Kenny.
You didn't want to be me. Let me tell you, you're much better than I am. So this is sort of like it's a made for TV movie. You want to go into television and be a news anchor, but yet you're one of the most powerful individuals in all of sports. Tell me about that journey. To me, it's a made for TV movie.
You are always too kind and too gracious. Like many people, I fell into a profession that I perhaps didn't know a lot about. When I was in college, I had some initial experience on the television front, but learned very quickly that there was an opportunity to remain in sport, which didn't mean playing it or working in television necessarily. And so when I learned about the administrative side of college athletics, I was really intrigued because as a former student athlete myself, I didn't know what the athletic director did or the faculty rep or senior women administrator, the compliance director. There was a whole host of individuals and a team put together to ensure that I had a positive and meaningful experience at Texas A&M University. And so to learn on the flip side, all the hard work that went into just making sure myself, my classmates, not only competed, but were also prepared for life after sport and after graduation. That's pretty meaningful in terms of the people who work hard on our behalf. So the fact that I got a chance to continue in it is a blessing.
Now, you were a two-sport athlete at Texas A&M. We know you played volleyball and basketball. When did you start preparing for life after sports? And when should our student athletes that are in college now prepare for life after sports?
It's immediate. I had a really good infrastructure at home with my family, who were always pushing us to make sure that we worked hard and were good people and excelled. And so I had a great foundation. But within universities, they do have departments that support not only student athletes, but the full student body. And so we actually had someone, for me personally, that came in, visited with our volleyball team and said, okay, ladies, you can't just keep working summer camps. You need to start building out your resume so that when you graduate, you've got experience to get that first job. And so it was that individual that really pushed me in the right direction to be able to start getting experience even before I graduated, so that when I left school, I had a resume that made me a competing candidate for jobs when I started to apply for those. So it really was the people that were around me that were pushing me early. So, when I talk to young aspiring administrators, especially those who are still in college and those who are student athletes, is get the experience, use your network. I can tell you that there are so many people in your athletic department who are waiting for you to come to them and say, hey, can you help me out? Can you introduce me to people? That network is so great. They should absolutely take advantage of it.
How important was your internship at the Big Ten Conference?
Kenny, that the Big Ten Conference, I think, was my 5th or 6th internship. So I would say collectively, they were all so very meaningful. There was a time when I was leaving the Southern Conference at the time as an intern, taking an internship position at the Big Ten. And I vividly remember my mom saying, okay, so this is another internship. When are you going to get a real job? There was something in my spirit that says, this is a big deal. The Big Ten Conference is a major brand. And I thought that it would be a tremendous opportunity for me professionally. And luckily, whatever that spirit was that moved me to make that decision was absolutely the right one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Then you worked for the NCAA, which had to be a lot of fun and a lot of work, because the NCAA is over all college athletics. Was that fun at all, or was that just all work?
It was incredible. And you're absolutely right. When you work in college athletics, you look at the NCAA as an organization that you aspire to work for. And the fact that as you mentioned, it's talking about all athletic sports across multiple divisions. I think they're up to around 500 or so full-time employees. And that's because it's such an incredibly vast organization, and the work is so important. And again, these are individuals who are representing the member institutions from across the country. And they're working to ensure that student athletes are given every opportunity to be successful, that they get the chance to compete, that they're placed in a fair environment, and to create wonderful postseason experiences. And so for me, it was a great time, great opportunity. And I was very fortunate at the time. Commissioner Jim Delaney had a little bit of an idea about creating a network for a conference and invited me to return to the Big Ten, as you know, and got a chance to go back to Chicago and work for the Big Ten for 10 years. And it was just an awesome experience.
But after that, you broke ground. It was groundbreaking. You were the first female to be a commissioner of a major Division I conference. When you took over as commissioner of the Big Sky, did you realize that you were the first female to do this, and which also made you the first African-American female to do this?
Well, and I'm glad that you put the caveat on there, Kenny, because there have been a number of tremendous, talented, smart, sharp women who are currently in Division I conference commissioner chair and were there before me. As you mentioned, in 2016, I was the first African-American female to assume a Division I conference commissioner role. And let's be honest, it's not because I was the first who was the most qualified. It was just the first time someone like me was given the opportunity, because there have been so many others that have come before me that were certainly deserving of that same opportunity. But I will tell you, the transition to the great state of Utah, the Big Sky Conference, it was absolutely incredible. And I could not have wished for a better opportunity as it relates to the people. And that's what it comes down to, Kenny, you know this. In working in athletics, it's all about the relationships and the wonderful individuals that we get to work with. And so my experience going to the Big Sky was just that. And it was really interesting just to experience a different part of the country. You know, I'm a military brat. We grew up all over the country. But to be out west in that environment, the culture is just a little bit different. And I can tell you, I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, you leave there to go to the college football playoffs. What made this job that you have now right for you? Because being a commissioner of a conference is a pretty cool job.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Kenny, it actually goes back to probably 2013, when it became known that we were creating this college football playoff, and the first game was going to be in 2015. I was still at the Big Ten at the time, and I said, that is an organization I want to work for. That is an event that I want to be a part of. And never did I imagine that I would be sitting in this position now. But even back in 2015, I just said, hey, I want to be a part of it. So I actually started as a volunteer. So I worked with a number of my colleagues in this business on the stadium ops volunteer team that just went in a few days before the game and supported the college football playoff staff. And that was incredible. You know, even if it wasn't a full-time gig, just to be a part of something so special was really it was a great experience. And I think I just loitered long enough to where they said, okay, we'll just bring you on full time now. But it really was a dream of mine when it first was announced to be a part of such a wonderful enterprise.
Well, I'm telling you, it is a made-for-TV movie. It really is. You know, you're a volunteer, now you're the chief operating officer. If they make a movie of your life, who would you like to play you? Who's Andrea Williams?
Oh my goodness. There are so many incredibly beautiful, talented women. I'm not saying that that's me, but that's who I would want playing me. Oh my goodness. Vanessa Williams or Queen Latifah, like they're just incredible, but we know it's not going to happen. But I love the support and enthusiasm you give to it, Kenny.
No, it's going to happen. It is going to happen one day. Final question. I said when we started this interview, you are a role model. You're one of the most powerful individuals in all of sports. You went from a student athlete to a chief operating officer. Do you consider yourself a role model, not just for African Americans, not just for women, but for everybody?
You know, it's a challenging question, because I think it's difficult for any of us to see ourselves in that light. But I am constantly reminded by the interaction that I have with aspiring administrators, current student athletes, to where they look at the position that you hold, and that is where they want to be. They envision themselves serving in that same capacity. And so that's really what resonates with me, is that I'm able to do something that so many other folks are looking at and wanting to do. And I think that's what's humbling, is that we have to be so grateful and so appreciative of all the different roles, regardless of big or small, that we get to do, because there's so many others out there that would give anything to be able to serve in those positions. And so with that comes a responsibility. And so I try to do my best in this role. I try to reach out and support others and be a sounding board or be available. But ultimately, we know that we gotta work hard, and we have to make sure that we create a path for others to be able to follow.
Well, you created one great path for others to follow, and you're living proof that hard work pays off. Andrea, thanks so much for taking time being with me. Congratulations on all your success, and we look forward next season to having another great college football playoff. Thank you so much.
All right, Kenny. Thank you so much. Stay safe.